So tonight, I'll be speaking on the topic, factors that result in growth in leadership. Leadership is about influencing, inspiring, and motivating people to follow a direction or vision and achieve goals. I'll repeat. Leadership is about influencing, inspiring, and motivating people to follow a direction or vision and achieve goals. When you talk of leadership in Nigeria, many times people think of position. Chairman of local government, head of department, MD, CEO, governor, president, senator. Yes, those are positional leadership. But leadership is beyond occupying position. Leadership is about influencing, inspiring, encouraging, motivating others to follow a particular vision or a direction. And leadership is a big deal in our nation. In fact, all over Africa is not different, except a few exceptions. It is because we are limited in our understanding of leadership to positional leadership. That's why you see people want to die in government house. People want to die as a senator. They can choose to be there for 40 years. Even when their children's children are due to be there, they don't to leave. They keep telling young people, you are leaders of tomorrow. Because our only understanding of leadership is positional leadership. And that's why if I'm a permanent secretary today or a director in a federal ministry, the only leadership I understand is what will make me the job slot for my children who are still in secondary school. I would rather not help any other person to come into the system because I'm waiting for my children to finish secondary school and then go to university and then come in and join the workforce. Because the only leadership I understand is that which perpetuates my family. Are we together? In positional leadership. That's why you have ghost workers. People who are in primary school, their name are already in the payroll. So before they finish university, they've already worked 10 years. And then when they come into the system proper, they have to start falsifying their ages because 35 years work of service will soon catch up with them. Leadership pursues changes and challenges status quo. As Christians leaders, we need to constantly be fine-tuning our leadership skills. And that's why we are here today. We are here this evening not because we don't have what to do with our time, not because we could not be sleeping. We could have gone to watch Premiership. We could have gone to a view center to watch wrestling. In fact, for some who convocated today, like our brother, let's clap for him. You know, You can imagine, you could have been holding a party, but we are here this evening to own our leadership skills, and we'll be better off for it. There are things that exemplary leaders or successful leaders do, and that's what separates them. They do certain things regularly. You know, what most of us do once in a while. How many of us know Ronaldo, the footballer? How many of us know the kind of life that he lives? You know, one of the problems Africans, especially Nigerians, who are into sport have is that when they start making millions, we are not even talking millions again now, billions. Because if somebody is earning 40,000 pounds a week now, that's 40 million. Outside bonuses. In a year, 52 weeks, that's about 480 million. Outside bonuses. So in a year, that person can make 500 million. So when somebody start making, now compare that person to Ronaldo, who is making like maybe 200, 300,000 pounds per week. And you now tell that person, don't drink alcohol. Wake up 4 a.m. Jog from here to Alagbaka and back so that you can be fit. Don't take this kind of oil. Use olive oil to cook your meal. Don't eat so much sugar. An African man say, how are we going to enjoy the money? That's why our sport people cannot last. So the life that Ronaldo is living is what? Leadership. And that's why, whether you like him or you don't like him, what is he doing? He's achieving results. How many people of his age do you know today who are still at the peak of their career? That is leadership. What differentiates Ronaldo from others is the life of discipline. You know, I can't remember whether it's the FA president in Brazil. He was talking to young Brazilian players in the last 2 weeks. And he said, the life of Messi should tell the upcoming Brazilian players the reality of life. That you cannot be partying all night and become exemplary in a manner that you will win 8 Ballon d'Or. And he was referring indirectly to the likes of Neymar. Neymar is one of my favorite players, extremely talented, but he has not lived up to the potential that he had, that the world expected of him 10 to 15 years ago. And he has peaked. And one of his problems is indiscipline. Partying, I don't care attitude. Because he's talented. Exemplary leaders do very often, do regularly, consistently, what others do occasionally. Exemplary leaders always find a way to improve, to add value, and to grow. What did I say? Exemplary leaders always find a way to improve, to add value, and to grow. They have mastered more than skills. They have mastered the right kind of mindset. They just think differently. I'll give you an example of one that we can relate with just now. What time did the service start? I got here some minutes after 5, right? But Pastor and Prof, were they not here when I came? That's leadership. So when he came, even though I was tired, I drove all the way from Lagos. When I look at time, I said, give me a little time, let me just change. I've not slept up to an hour after I came. That's leadership by them. Leadership is doing consistently. Punctuality is a trait of what? Leadership. If they say the governor wants to see you tomorrow at 6 a.m., my brother, what's your name? Jephthah. When will you be ready? By 4 a.m. So, but when we come to the house of God, we come casually. The way we appear before God is already telling a lot about our expectation of Him. Are we together? Punctuality is a trait of exemplary leaders. I used to have a CEO maybe about 13 years ago. When we have ESCO meeting, if our reports as C-level staff, what we call executive directors, are time-stamped. So if the cutoff time to submit to the executive assistant for the CEO is 10, they will draw the line. If your email comes after 10, they will start time-stamping their arrival time. Every week, we have that meeting. If your report comes in later than 10, your penalty is 50,000. 13 years ago. So, if there are 5 weeks in a month, you lose 250,000 out of your salary for coming late. If he sits before you, if the meeting starts at 10 and the CEO is sat before you open the door, you already know the consequence. So if you are not careful, you can lose 400,000 by your attitude. Even if your salary is 1 million and you are paid penalty of 400,000 for foolishness. What is the future of leadership? The future of leadership is trust. A popular leadership author, Craig, defined trust as the bedrock upon which successful leadership is built. He said, without trust, leaders struggle to achieve goals. and bring their vision to life. In the past, people have thought of great leaders as the most brilliant, the most knowledgeable, the smartest, the know-it-all kind of a person. That has changed. The world we live in today, fast-paced, fast-changing, complicated, complex, rapidly changing environment. If you think as a leader today, you are the smart, you know it all, you will be failing in your leadership responsibilities. As a pastor, as the head of worship, as the head of department, head of finance, head of prayer, head of witnessing, you cannot be the smartest in everything. That's why the Bible says there are different gifts and calling. To some, he gave what? Apostles, prophets, pastors, teachers. You know, there are ministries today, if the gifting of a younger person is spotted, they would rather ruin it than build it. And that's why you have to celebrate our pastor. I know people who are in this church last year who have moved on to do greater things with their life, who are not here, but he's not happy. He's not sad. He's happy about it. There are places where people will lock down the destinies of people just to massage their ego. That's not leadership. That is witchcraft. So the question we should all ask ourselves, the people that God has put under our care, are we building them? Are they making progress? Or we have become tormentors instead of being their mentors? Trust is the bedrock upon which successful leadership will be built. Another speaker, Simon, said, the leader who gets the most out of his people are the ones who care most about their people. And my first point, apart from my second point, is what? Empathy. As a leader, do you care? I just told us when I started speaking that I do not get called often by people to ask after my welfare. But pastor does. I have enough reasons not to be here this weekend. In fact, I took permission from my church to be here because I have a meeting scheduled tomorrow with my pastor in Lagos. But I excused myself because I knew it was the will of God for me to be here. Empathy. Do you care? An increasing number of people now value authentic relationship, connection, over a facade of Mr. Superpower, Mr. Know-It-All, the infallible one. Only God is infallible. We are all fallible. Empathy. Do you care? You know, I typically tell people who work with me in church and my colleagues who are leaders, I said, when I don't see someone's report, someone who is under me, the first question I ask myself, how is this person doing? Because if all I care about is by my reports, I'm just a user. So if I'm asking someone who's an area coordinator under me, looking after some sections, maybe about 50 people, 70 people, or an area coordinator who's looking about maybe about 100 people. And I don't know whether he's out of job, whether he's sick, whether his children are in the hospital. And all I care about is that he's not sending the report of the house fellowship. I'm just a user. That is not exemplary leadership. Exemplary leadership is taking duty of care for people who God brings into our lives. When Abraham said unto Lot, make your choice first. What is that? Who did God call? Answer now. Who did God say he was taking somewhere? Was Lot invited? He did what in Yoruba parlance we will call Mugbomoya. How many of you have attended party because you just saw chair and you saw cow? You say, wicked. John, iron your clothes. Some people don't take their reception to university environment because of Mugbomoya people. Because now their clothes go get gate or pass. They don't know the celebrant, they don't know their family. But they know food will flow. So Lot did what? Atachi. And now is the troublemaker. They say, come chop. You want to take big meat. Now you go choose. Say you want to use juice. Guava juice, apple juice. You want to use a mixed Martina. And you don't get any gift for the celebrant. But what did Abraham do? Abraham said, make your choice. Is it that Abraham did not know that Sodom and Gomorrah is better? Hello? Answer now. Is it that Abraham did not know that where Lot chose was better, humanly speaking? But what did he still do? He allowed Lot. That is how to be a leader. That's how to be a leader. If you are Abraham, you just send him back to the city where you are coming from and say, did God call you? Did I invite you? And I'm saying this to some of us because you don't know what your destiny is under God. One of the things that brings pain to the heart of founding pastors today is the experience of Abraham and Lot. Some of the fiercest crises have happened in the church. When someone says, I'm leaving, and the father in the Lord says, you cannot. And sometimes people have gone very diabolical in the process. So, one of the traits of, and I'm going to address how you can deal with those things so that it's never going to be an issue to you. So, one of the traits of an exemplary leader is what? Empathy. I've spoken about how many now? 2, Abi? First is what? Trust. So when I've done 40 minutes, somebody should wave to me so I don't get carried away. Another trait of an exemplary leader is passion. Pursue your passion and purpose. As a leader, your team members, they must not be in doubt about what your passion and purpose is. If you are the worship leader, you cannot be the one they are waiting for doing choir practice. If you are a mission leader, you cannot be the one they are waiting for, who will have excuse all of the time when it's time to go for evangelism. If you are a prayer leader, you cannot be the one who will always be tired when there's call for special prayer. Your team member must not be in doubt. They must see your 100% commitment to your vision. Because you are the one asking them to come and be part of the vision. They took interviews to join choir. You didn't just take people in to be prayer members. You didn't just take people in to be part of evangelism team. Now you are the leader. What kind of life are you living? Can they see the passion as an evangelism mission leader? Can they see the passion in you as the prayer team leader? Can they see the passion? While you can delegate every other thing, they must be clear-headed about your passion for your purpose. You must live the value. I'm not saying preaching. I'm not saying teaching. You must live the value that you want to pursue. And you saw it in our pastor. He didn't stroll in 5 minutes to message. If he's strolling, will you beat him? Can stroll in now when it's time to introduce minister, as if praise worship is not part of the service. There are ministries where the founding pastor will call for night vigil and he will be sleeping. Let them go and do the vigil. That's not leadership. Your team members must be clear-headed about your passion, about your purpose, about the things that you do. There's a company called Johnson & Johnson. They were part of the global companies that made vaccine for COVID. How many people have heard the name Johnson & Johnson? You can read about them online, so read about them online. One of their core values is that, and it was written in 1943, is that they said they believe their first responsibility is to the patients, doctors, nurses, to mothers and fathers, and all others who use their products and services. I read that it is their responsibility Their first responsibility is to the patient, doctors, nurses, to mothers and fathers, and all others who use their products and services. Then something happened in 1982. They found cyanide in one of their products, Tylenol. And people started dying in Chicago because there was cyanide in the tablets that they were consuming. They withdrew millions of products from circulation as a result. Financially, was that a gain? But that's leadership. That's trust. Many decades after, the company is still waxing strong. The world could still trust them to be one of the biggest companies to make vaccine that we still took. Leaders don't think about short-term gain. They think long-term. That's what the Bible says about Jesus. The Bible says he embraced the cross. He despised the shame because of the glory that was set ahead of him. What kind of leaders are we? Do we think about short-term gain? Or we put eternity in focus in all that we do? That one day, you and I will stand before the perfect judge in whom there is no favoritism. And we will give account of this life that he has given us to live. Whether long or short, we will give account. The young woman that God will bring across your way, what would they have to say about you in 10 years' time? The young man that God will bring across your path, what will they have to say about you in the next 10 years? Are you a tormentor? Are you a user? Or you are a builder? You look at the number of people who have stepped out of this church into their destiny to do good things. There are people who can stop people from pursuing postgraduate program just because they want to keep them in their church. And say they are useless 5 years, 10 years down the line. But look at the way the servant of God here is to add value to each and everybody's life. Praise the Lord. Number 4, great leaders have mentors. You know, there are people who have traveled the road that you are trying to travel. There's no point in reinventing the wheel. If there is a life that you want to become, just find a mentor who has become. You know, people like to say, oh, yesterday I was with Bishop Wale, okay. Last month I was with Bishop Idausa. They love to flaunt names. In the business parlance, we call it name dropping. I tell you, by the grace of God. You can be mentored by people without physically sitting with them. Mentorship is observing how the person is living his life, that is making his life to turn out in a particular way that you desire. It is not about loitering around that person, constituting a nuisance around that person that will give you the key. It's your observation and the willingness to pay the price. A.W. Tozer said the driver on the road is not safe by reading the road signs, but by obeying them. So mentorship is not struggling to be prayed for. Kneeling down every time on the altar. Those things are not wrong, but they are useless if you will not obey. The blessing is in obeying. That's what A.W. Tozer is saying to us. Say, the driver is not safe because he's reading red, yellow, green, striped, wedged, broken, stripe, hard line. Hard line says you cannot cross. If you cross, you can cause accident. So A.W. Tozer is saying, a driver on the road is not safe because he's reading the sign. He's safe because of his obedience. Because there is how many minutes have I? More. There's an exercise I want us to do, very important to talk. So I'm just going to take one more and leave others, and then we'll go to that exercise. The last point I want to make tonight is about the power of habits. If you are going to be an exemplary leader, you must have control over your habits. Someone said, if you cheat in practice, you have cheated your progress. That's why many players or athletes, they don't reach their peak because they indulge on what ordinary people like us indulge in. You cannot be an Olympic champion. Have you seen all our sisters who are into athletics? Have you seen their six-pack? Toby Amuson, how many of you know her? 27 thereabout now. Can't you see her physique? Even with all the trouble that was thrown at her, she still won her last race. There's nothing you can do to an exemplary leader. You can only cause them distraction. You cannot stop them. You cannot stop them. Because this God that we serve is a faithful rewarder. It doesn't matter what you throw at them. They are unstoppable. So if you want to become that kind, do you have? Your habit is a reflection of your future. Do you understand what I'm saying? Your habits of today is telling us who you will be 5 years, 10 years to come. We don't need a prophet. The way you live your life today on a consistent basis is already painting your life for others to see. There's a book called, and you can look for the summary online, Harnessing the Power of Atomic Habits by James Clear. One of my favorite books. And I've learned a lot from that author. He said that success is a product of our daily habits. He said every action we take is a vote for who we want to become. Every action that we take is what? Answer now. Is a vote for who we want to become. Whether as individuals, whether as families, whether as a ministry or a business organization. There are churches that money has passed through their hand. But today, the building they occupy is dilapidated. But if you go back in time, 10 years, 20 years, you see the hundreds of millions that have passed through that church. But they spent it all. They lack what? Financial wisdom. Today, they are praying for breakthrough. And sometimes they've gone into error, thinking they are the only children of God left. So when they ask people for money and they don't give, they start cursing them. But 10, 20 years ago, they were swimming in money. What did they use it to do? Buy unnecessary things. If as a ministry, you don't have savings, when adversity comes, you have no pedestal to. As a ministry, we must have savings. No matter the trouble that comes, a percentage of our income must go into savings. Because we cannot predict when adversity will come. What did Joseph do in the Bible? 7 years of plenty. What did they do? They saved. When 7 years of famine came, what did they do? They went back into their savings. I'll never forget 1998. It was a preacher from whom I first heard that message. Said God has given you 2 hands. One to eat and one to keep, except you don't know the use. So, whether as individuals, whether as a family, whether as a ministry, whether as a business organization, savings. If you lack financial wisdom, you will suffer. So this ministry, when they tell you there's no money, but because you have access to the books of the church, you say they don't want to help you. The church must save. You must save as an individual. Those of us who are family, as a family, you must save. Because adversity will come. And what exemplary leaders do is to plan ahead for the days of adversity. And that's speaking to our habits. Now, let's go to the exercise. First question. These are questions by one of the most authentic leadership leader, Dr. Eric Cloud. You know. So I picked them from one of the sessions I listened to. He says trust is the currency that drives relationship. He said we are wired to trust in all the dimensions of our lives. So the questions are these. Do your team members sense that we understand and value their reality? The answer, yes or no, or there's place for improvement. Answer yourself. And if you can't answer now, you can take it on. Second question. Do they perceive that our concern for them goes beyond what they do for us? Do your team members, if you are the worship leader, do your team members inquire, see you having a genuine concern for their life, other than being around every time to lead worship? If you are evangelism secretary, can you wake up the drummer? Do they perceive that our concern for them goes beyond what they do for us? 3. Do they feel that we prioritize their interests even over our own? As a leader, are you always asking people to bend for you? But when it comes to their turn, you are unwilling. It's always about you. When you want to fix meeting, it's about when it's convenient for you. You don't ask others what works for them. This question, you should answer them yes or no, or there's room for improvement. Number 4, do they feel we have the abilities to carry out our responsibilities? Number 5, do they witness a consistent positive track record in our actions that enables them to trust us? All these questions, I want you to answer them as head of department, as a father, as a mother, as a business owner, whoever you are. Answer these questions, whether it's yes or no, or place of improvement. So as I close, Jamin Ken Lima said something that I find very profound. He says, what holds us back more than anything else is the temptation to doubt our own ideas as leaders, to doubt our own worthiness as leaders, to doubt ourselves out of our potential, And if we are not careful, doubt ourselves out of our own destiny. We cannot choose circumstances, but we can control our mindset as leaders. Our mindset determines whether we generate hope, inspiration, positive energy around us, or bring everyone down. Our role as leaders is to create the right environment for others to flourish under our